y'all, welcome to today's video. In today's video, I'm going to be doing a 2024 election prediction between Joe Biden and Donald Trump. Yes, this is coming out on the 11th, it's a video for the 10th. Also, I'm going to try to do this pretty quickly. I want to get to bed soon. So yeah, labeling all the safe states. Okay. For Biden's likely states, he gets Colorado, New Mexico, Virginia, Maine at large, and Nebraska's first. Trump gets Alaska, South Carolina, Iowa, Ohio, Kansas, Nebraska's first, Maine's second. So for Biden, Colorado, I think that I think his unpopularity will hurt him. I don't think that in Colorado it will hurt him as much as it would in other states. But I think in Colorado, I could see him improving, but I don't think that he improves enough to the point where he carries it safe. New Mexico, I think that Trump does better with oil workers, and I don't think that Biden does better with Hispanic and Latino voters. Maybe the same, but I doubt that he does better. Virginia, I think that Biden does well enough with the black vote and does well enough in the D.C. suburbs that he carries it likely, even if Trump does do pretty well with white rural voters, and Biden potentially does worse with black voters and with suburbanites. In Maine at large, I think that Biden does worse with white rural college educated voters. I don't see him necessarily doing like 4 points worse, but I see him still probably doing worse. Still likely though. Nebraska's second, I think the suburban shift helps Biden enough to the point where he carries it lean, or likely it could be lean. Nebraska's first, Trump does, or the suburbs shift enough. Kansas, the suburbs shift enough. South Carolina, I think that Trump probably does better. I think that Biden, realistically, I don't necessarily think he does better with the black vote. I think he maybe does the same or maybe does worse. And I think Trump probably does better with the white rural vote. Iowa, Trump does better with Obama to Trump voters, does better with the white rural vote. Ohio, I think that he does better with the white rural vote. Biden struggles enough with the black vote. Or not even struggles. The black share of the electorate decreases to the point where it hurts Biden enough. And Trump does well enough with the white working class and with white rural voters. Maine's second, I think Trump has enough of the populist appeal to realistically carry it. He probably will carry it likely again. I think he maybe carries it by double digits. Alaska, I think that we're going to see more and more Native American voters turning out and shifting it to the left. With a really unpopular Joe Biden, I could see it maybe, I could obviously, yes, I could see it shifting to the right. I don't necessarily know that it would, though, so honestly, I could see it maybe, because I obviously could see it, but I don't know if it's the most likely of scenarios, but I think it's definitely a possible scenario. And I think Trump also probably does better with oil workers. For Biden's lean states, Nevada, Minnesota, New Hampshire, Trump gets Texas, Florida, and North Carolina. So in Nevada, I think that Biden maybe does worse with Hispanic and Latino voters. Trump does better with the white rural vote. I don't think either necessarily would be enough to make it tilt, but I think it could be. I think probably like 1.7 is like more realistic. I think it definitely could be tilt though. Minnesota, I think that Biden does worse with the white rural vote. Or I think Trump does better with the white rural vote. I think he's worse with the white working class, Biden that is. The suburbs still shift enough, but I don't necessarily know that he would do as well in Minneapolis. New Hampshire, he does worse with white rural college educated voters. For Trump's lean states, Texas is barely lean. It's like almost likely. He does very well with what, honestly, actually, I'm going to give it to him likely. He does better with white rural voters, probably does better with Hispanic and Latino voters. The suburbs shift in Biden's favor, probably, but I'm still going to give it to Trump likely. Florida, I think that Trump does well enough for the Hispanic and Latino vote. Biden struggles enough with older white voters and with suburbanites being so unpopular that Trump carries that lean. North Carolina, I think that Trump does better with the white rural vote, does better with the white working class. with the black vote, I mean, if Biden's less popular, it kind of comes down to like, yes, Biden's less popular. There could also be a lot of anti-Trump black turnout. Like, it's kind of hard to see because there's definitely an argument to be made for both sides of whether or not like Joe Biden would actually do well with the black vote in this scenario. Um, I don't I don't necessarily know. I mean, like it's hard to tell. I would think he probably does marginally worse or not better, like probably similar or marginally worse. But Trump does better with the white rural vote as well. In this, I give it to him lean. It could be tilt, but I think for now it's probably lean. For Trump's tilt states, he gets Arizona. Oh, Wisconsin, by the way, was I think supposed to be lean. Um, in Pennsylvania, Biden gets Michigan and Georgia, which are Georgia more so, Michigan less so, sort of toss ups. I think in Arizona, Biden won by such a narrow margin, and I mean, like if he's gonna be unpopular. I think that with traditionally conservative suburbanites, that's a demographic that it's it's already probably relatively hard for Democrats to win. Yes, Biden is more of a he. I think he's one of the better Democrats for traditionally conservative suburbanites. But if he's unpopular among them, I think that realistically Trump probably carries it. Although I could see it going to Biden, but I think at this point that's like I think he's probably too unpopular at this point to carry it. Um, or to do well enough with traditional conservatives. I could see it happening. I don't know if it's the most. I don't know if it's the most likely scenario. Wisconsin, in Pennsylvania, Pennsylvania voting further to the left than Wisconsin probably. Trump does very well with white rural voters. Does very well with the white working class. Biden probably does similar. With the black vote, maybe with Biden probably does similar with the black vote, maybe slightly worse. He probably doesn't do terribly well in the suburbs. Michigan, I think that Biden is well enough with the black vote. In Michigan, I guess I think he struggles enough, or I think he struggles. I think it shifts, but I think he manages to hang on in Michigan, Georgia. This one, it obviously yes with Michigan, but more so I would think in Georgia. It really does depend on if the black vote, if there's a lot of black turnout, for a relatively unpopular candidate, which it's kind of hard to tell. For now, I'm going to give it to Biden. I think this realistically could go to Trump. I think that with Stacey Abrams being in Georgia, I think that even if Biden's unpopular, I think that the black turnout will probably remain high enough in Georgia. So I am going to assume that this does go to Joe Biden. But if Biden is really, really unpopular, by the time, like, if he continues to get more unpopular and he's, like, really, really unpopular with black voters to the point where, like, it's, like, it's super hard to get, like, a lot of the Democratic Party's base, just, like, nationally, to turn out to the point where, like, a lot of black voters are, like, if he gets so unpopular to the point where a lot of black voters would turn out against Trump and now they just wouldn't, then I think that Biden probably loses Georgia by like a lean margin. I think that at this point, though, there's enough anti-Trump black turnout. I think Biden remains popular enough, and like voting turnout efforts in Georgia remain like consistent to the point where Biden probably does carry it. Um, but yeah, thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, please leave a like below. Stay tuned for my next video. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Please comment your suggestions down below. And I hope to see you all in my next video. Bye.